On a bustling street in New York City, surrounded by towering glass skyscrapers reflecting the clear blue sky of a sunny afternoon, Emily Carter walked with determined steps. Her high heels echoed on the pavement, catching the attention of hurried passers-by. At 32, Emily embodied success. Her blonde hair was elegantly styled in a neat bun, her suit impeccably tailored, and her demeanor exuded confidence. Emily was the CEO of Tech Innovations, one of the leading technology firms in the country. Her success story was well known in business circles. Coming from a middle-class family, she had built her empire from scratch with determination, intelligence, and hard work. Now, at the peak of her career, she was respected by her peers and admired by her employees. Subscribe to the channel and click on the notification. Help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. This way YouTube will deliver this content to more people who will benefit. I count on your help. As she headed to her office, Emily thought about her fiancé, Michael Thompson. They had been together for almost a year, and their relationship was a perfect blend of passion and mutual understanding. Michael, a successful attorney aged 35, was on a business trip abroad, and Emily missed him dearly. Entering her office on the top floor of the Tech Innovations building, Emily was greeted by her assistant, Sarah. "Good morning, Miss Carter," Sarah said with a smile. "Here is your agenda for today and the reports you requested." Emily smiled back. "Thank you, Sarah. Any news from Michael?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, he sent an email this morning saying the trip is going well, but that he misses you." "Oh, and he mentioned his family is eager to meet you." Emily felt a flutter of nerves. Meeting Michael's family was an important step, and she was anxious about the prospect. Despite her confidence in business, Emily still carried insecurities from her humble upbringing. "Sarah," Emily said, making a sudden decision, "cancel my appointments for the next few days. I think I'll make a surprise visit to Michael's family." Sarah looked surprised but nodded. "Of course, Miss Carter. Should I inform Mr. Thompson?" Emily shook her head. "No, I want it to be a surprise for everyone." With that, Emily began planning her trip. Michael's family lived in a town about a 3-hour drive from the city. She decided to drive there, wanting time to think and mentally prepare. As she packed a small suitcase, Emily reflected on her decision. Why was she so nervous? She was a successful, intelligent, and confident woman, but something inside her was unsettled. Perhaps it was the fear of not being accepted, of being judged for her modest origins. Then, a bold idea occurred to her. What if she didn't present herself as the successful CEO she was? What if she went there dressed plainly, without all the external signs of her success? It would be an opportunity to see how Michael's family really treated people, without the veneer of social etiquette. With this decision in mind, Emily swapped her elegant suit for simple jeans and a white t-shirt, removed all her makeup, and tied her hair in a casual ponytail. Looking in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. It was like going back in time to the days when she was just an ambitious young woman fighting to make her way in the world. With her heart racing and a mix of excitement and apprehension, Emily grabbed her simple suitcase and set off for the Thompson family home. The long drive gave Emily time to think. She watched the landscape gradually change from the bustling metropolis to green fields and small towns. Each mile made her more nervous but also more determined. Finally, after 3 hours, Emily arrived in the picturesque town where Michael's family resided. Known for its European-inspired architecture and mild climate, the town was lined with leafy trees and elegant houses. Following the directions Michael had once given her, Emily found the Thompson residence. It was an imposing mansion with well-kept gardens and a facade that screamed wealth and status. For a moment, Emily hesitated. Was she doing the right thing? But it was too late to turn back. With shaky legs, she approached the gate and rang the bell. Seconds later, a female voice answered through the intercom. "Thompson residence. How may I help you?" Emily took a deep breath before responding. "Good afternoon. I'm a friend of Michael's. I've come to visit." There was a pause before the voice replied. "One moment, please." The gate opened with an electric buzz, and Emily entered the property. She walked along the stone path to the front door, admiring the meticulously maintained gardens. The door opened, revealing a middle-aged woman elegantly dressed with a look of suspicion in her eyes. This was Martha Thompson, Michael's mother. "Yes?" Martha said, her tone cold and distant. Emily smiled, trying to appear as friendly as possible. "Hello, I'm a friend of Michael's. He mentioned he was traveling, and I thought I'd surprise his family with a visit." Martha scrutinized Emily from head to toe, her gaze lingering on the visitor's simple clothes and unassuming appearance. Her face twisted into a slight expression of disdain. "I see," Martha said, her tone shifting to something bordering on contempt. "You must be the new maid Michael mentioned hiring. Come in, the kitchen is over there." Emily was momentarily speechless. She hadn't expected to be mistaken for a maid, but she quickly realized this was a unique opportunity. She decided, in the heat of the moment, not to correct the misunderstanding. "Thank you, ma'am," Emily replied, entering the house. The interior of the mansion was as impressive as the exterior. Expensive furniture, artwork on the walls, and a crystal chandelier in the entrance hall created an atmosphere of opulence. Martha led Emily to the kitchen, where a young woman was busy preparing what looked like dinner. "Camille," Martha called, "this is the new assistant Michael hired. Show her around and where things are. I need to finish getting ready for dinner." With that, Martha left the kitchen, leaving Emily alone with Camille. The young maid looked at Emily with curiosity. "Hi, I'm Camille," she introduced herself with a shy smile. Emily hesitated for a moment before responding. "Nice to meet you." The two women exchanged a glance, and Emily felt an immediate connection with Camille. There was something about the way the young woman carried herself, a mix of kindness and resignation that touched Emily deeply. Then Camille spoke, looking a bit confused. "Michael didn't mention he was hiring a new assistant. Is this your first job in this area?" "I'm trying something new," Emily replied, smiling. Camille smiled understandingly. "Don't worry, I'll teach you everything you need to know. The Thompson family can be a bit demanding, but you'll get used to it." As Camille showed Emily around the kitchen and explained the household routines, Emily paid close attention. She noticed how Camille spoke in a low voice, almost whispering, and how her eyes frequently darted to the door as if expecting to be reprimanded at any moment. "Camille," Emily asked softly, "have you worked here long?" The young woman nodded. "Almost 5 years. I started right after finishing high school. I needed to help my family, and well, opportunities aren't many around here." Emily felt a pang of compassion. She remembered her own struggle, the days when she barely had money to eat, let alone study. It was at that moment she decided her little ruse could have a greater purpose. "I understand," Emily said. "It can't be easy." Camille shrugged, but Emily could see the sadness in her eyes. "You get used to it. Mrs. Thompson and Mr. Charles aren't bad employers, just a bit distant. Michael is always kind when he's home, but that doesn't happen much." At that moment, Martha's voice echoed through the house. "Camille, where's the tea I asked for?" Camille jumped. "Sorry, I need to go." "Feel free to get familiar with the kitchen. I'll show you where you'll sleep later." As Camille hurried out with a tray of tea, Emily was left alone in the kitchen, absorbing everything that had happened. She couldn't believe the situation she found herself in. As the CEO of a major company, she was used to being treated with respect and deference. Now, dressed plainly and mistaken for a maid, she was experiencing a side of life she had long left behind. Emily decided to use this opportunity to observe and learn. She wanted to better understand not just Michael's family, but also the dynamics of power and prejudice that still existed in society. In the days that followed, Emily immersed herself in her role as a maid. She helped Camille with household chores, observed the family's interactions, and most importantly, experienced firsthand what it was like to be treated as someone from a lower social class. Martha, Michael's mother, was particularly difficult. She treated Emily and Camille with a mix of indifference and disdain, rarely speaking to them directly and often making disparaging comments about their work. "These girls simply don't understand the concept of proper cleaning," Martha complained one day, running a finger over a piece of furniture Emily had just cleaned. "That's why you can't trust people like them to do a decent job." Emily bit her tongue, fighting the urge to respond. She wondered how Michael, always so kind and respectful, could have been raised by someone like this. Charles, Michael's father, was a more distant figure. He spent most of his time in his office, emerging only for meals. When he interacted with the maids, it was with an air of barely disguised superiority. One day, while Emily was cleaning Charles's office, she couldn't help but notice the books on his shelves. Many were about business ethics and social responsibility. The irony was not lost on her. "Interested in reading, girl?" Charles's voice startled her. Emily turned to find him standing in the doorway. "Sorry, sir, I was just admiring your collection," she said. Charles laughed, a sound devoid of humor. "I doubt you'd understand half of what's written there, but it's good to see a maid with some interest beyond gossip and social media. Emily felt her blood boil, but maintained her composure. You'd be surprised what people can understand when given the opportunity, sir. Charles raised an eyebrow, momentarily intrigued before dismissing her with a wave of his hand. As the days passed, Emily grew closer to Camille. The two spent hours talking while performing their tasks. Emily discovered that the young woman had dreams and ambitions that went far beyond being a domestic worker. I've always wanted to study business management, Camille confessed one night while they washed the dinner dishes. But with my family's situation, well, some people are born lucky, others aren't. Emily felt her heart ache. It's never too late to pursue your dreams, Camille. Believe in yourself. Camille smiled sadly. That's easy to say, but how could I afford college? And even if I could, who would hire someone like me for a management position? At that moment, Emily made a silent promise to herself. When this charade was over, she would do something to help Camille. She knew what it was like to fight against the odds and was determined to give Camille the chance she deserved. Meanwhile, Michael's absence weighed heavily on Emily. She missed his gentle smile, their stimulating conversations, his loving touch. Several times she almost gave in to the temptation to call him and reveal everything, but something held her back. She needed to see this through to the end. One night, about a week after her arrival, Emily was in the kitchen preparing tea for Martha when she heard Ray's voices coming from the living room. Curious, she quietly approached the door. I can't believe you haven't met this Emily yet, Martha's voice sounded irritated. Michael, my son, you need to be careful. These businesswomen are all the same, just after your money and status. Emily felt her heart clench as she heard Michael's voice respond. Mother, please, Emily isn't like that. She's amazing, intelligent, and successful on her own merits. She doesn't need my money or status. Martha scoffed. They all say that at first, but just wait until she gets her claws into you. Oh, by the way, we hired that new maid you suggested. A simple girl, but at least she knows her place. Emily had to stifle a laugh. If Martha only knew who the new maid was. I didn't suggest hiring anyone. Michael's confusion was evident in his voice. There was a moment of silence before Martha responded, but she said she was your friend, came here saying she was making a surprise visit. Mother, Michael said slowly, you don't think. At that moment, Emily decided it was time to intervene. She entered the living room carrying the tea tray, finding Martha and Michael looking at her with expressions of shock. Your tea, ma'am, Emily said calmly, placing the tray on the coffee table. Michael stood there, jaw dropped. Emily, what? How? Emily smiled, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. Hello, Michael. Surprise. Martha looked from one to the other, her face shifting from shock to understanding, and then to mortification. You're Emily, Michael's fiancé? Emily nodded. Yes, that's me. I apologize for the misunderstanding, but when I arrived and was mistaken for a maid, I decided not to correct it. I thought it would be an interesting opportunity to get to know your family without the usual formalities. Michael seemed to be struggling to find words. Emily, I don't know what to say. You spent the whole week here working as a maid? Yes, Emily replied, her tone now more serious, and it was a very revealing experience. Michael, your family, she hesitated, looking at Martha, who seemed to have shrunk in her chair. Well, let's say I learned a lot about how people treat those they consider inferior. Martha opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out, her face red with embarrassment. Michael ran a hand through his hair, clearly disturbed. Emily, I'm so sorry. If I'd known. It's not your fault, Michael, Emily interrupted him gently. In fact, I'm glad I had this experience. It opened my eyes to many things. At that moment, Charles entered the room, drawn by the commotion. What's going on here? Emily turned to face him, her posture subtly shifting to exude the confidence and authority of a successful CEO. Good evening, Mr. Thompson. I believe we haven't been properly introduced. I'm Emily Carter, CEO of Tech Innovations and Michael's fiancé. Charles froze, his face visibly paling. You're... Yes, Emily confirmed. The same girl you doubted could understand the books in your library. The silence that followed was deafening. Charles remained petrified in his chair, and Michael looked at Emily with a mix of admiration and concern. Emily took a deep breath before continuing. I didn't come here to cause embarrassment or create conflict. I came because I love your son and wanted to meet his family. But what I experienced this week, Well, it was a valuable lesson about prejudice and snap judgments. She turned to Martha. Mrs. Thompson, your words and actions towards the maids were painful to witness. Treating people with disdain simply because of their social standing is not only cruel, it's short-sighted. Martha lowered her eyes, unable to meet Emily's gaze. Emily then addressed Charles. And Mr. Thompson, for someone with so many books on ethics and social responsibility, your attitudes leave much to be desired. The way you speak to and about your employees is degrading and completely opposite to the principles those books preach. Charles opened his mouth as if to protest, but then closed it, looking defeated. Michael finally found his voice. Emily, I don't know what to say. I'm shocked and embarrassed by my family's behavior, but I'm also impressed by your courage and integrity. You could have simply left or revealed your identity immediately, but you chose to stay and experience this. Why? Emily smiled softly at Michael. Because I love you, Michael, and because I believe people can change, can learn, and grow. I myself come from humble beginnings. I know what it's like to be judged and underestimated, but I also know that with opportunity and compassion, people can overcome their prejudices. She turned again to Martha and Charles. I'm not here to judge you or to create a rift in the family. I'm here because I want to be part of this family, but a family based on mutual respect and understanding. The silence that followed was broken by a muffled sob. Everyone turned to see Camille standing in the kitchen doorway, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Camille stammered. I didn't mean to overhear, but Emily crossed the room and hugged Camille. It's okay, Camille. In fact, I'm glad you're here. There's something I want to say to you, too. She stepped back slightly, keeping her hands on Camille's shoulders. Camille, during this week, you've shown me incredible strength and dignity. You have dreams and ambitions, and you deserve the chance to pursue them. So I want to offer you an opportunity. If you're interested, I'd like to offer you a scholarship to study business management and an internship at my company after you graduate. Camille's eyes widened in shock. I don't know what to say. It's a dream. Emily smiled. Say yes. You deserve this, Camille. Camille nodded vigorously, unable to speak through her tears. Michael approached Emily, taking her hand. You're amazing. You know that? That's why I fell in love with you. Emily squeezed his hand, feeling emotional. Thank you, Michael. I love you. She then turned to Martha and Charles, who still seemed stunned. I know this is a lot to process. I don't expect everything to change overnight, but I hope we can. Use this as a starting point to build something better, a family based on respect, understanding, and genuine love. Martha rose slowly from her chair, tears in her eyes. Emily, I don't even know where to begin to apologize. My behavior was unforgivable. Emily smiled gently. It's not unforgivable, Mrs. Thompson. It's human to make mistakes. The important thing is to recognize them and work to correct them. Charles cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable. Miss Carter, I must admit I'm deeply ashamed. My conduct was, well, deplorable. You have every right to be angry with us. I'm not angry, Emily replied. I'm hopeful. Hopeful that we can all learn from this and grow together. Michael hugged Emily, kissing her softly. You're incredible, you know that? I can't imagine anyone handling this situation with such grace and compassion. Emily smiled at him. That's why we make a good team, isn't it? In the days that followed, the Thompson household underwent intense reflection and change. Martha, deeply affected by the experience, began treating Camille and the other household staff with more respect and consideration. She even offered to help Camille with her studies, discovering in the process that she had much to learn from the young woman. Charles, in turn, delved into his books on business ethics with a new perspective. He began implementing changes in his own company, focusing on more ethical practices and improving working conditions for his employees. Emily and Michael used this time to further strengthen their relationship. They had long conversations about expectations, dreams, and values. Michael expressed his admiration for Emily's courage and integrity, while she shared how the experience made her appreciate his character even more. You know, Michael said one night as they walked through the mansion's gardens, I think I've never loved you as much as I do now. What you did was extraordinary. Emily smiled, squeezing his hand. I feel the same way, Michael. Seeing how you reacted, how you supported change in your family, only confirmed what I already knew. You are the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. Michael stopped walking, turning to face her, his eyes shining with emotion. Emily, I didn't plan to do this now, but He knelt, pulling a small box from his pocket. "Emily Carter, would you do me the honor of marrying me?" Emily felt tears of joy welling up in her eyes. "Yes, Michael, 1,000 times yes." They embraced and kissed under the moonlight, sealing their commitment of love and partnership. In the months that followed, the Thompson family underwent a remarkable transformation. Martha, inspired by the experience, began engaging in volunteer work, helping underprivileged families in the region. She discovered a new passion for helping others, which brought a different light to her eyes. Charles, in turn, revolutionized his company. He implemented policies of social responsibility, improved working conditions, and even created a scholarship program for employees and their children. He frequently consulted Emily for advice on ethical business practices. Camille, with the support of Emily and the Thompson family, flourished in her studies. She excelled in business school, and her internship at Tech Innovations led her to discover a natural talent for project management. The day of Emily and Michael's wedding arrived on a beautiful spring afternoon. The Thompson Mansion's garden had been transformed into a fairy tale, with colorful flowers everywhere and delicate lights hanging from the trees. Emily, radiant in her wedding dress, walked down a makeshift aisle between the guest chairs, her father, a simple and hardworking man, proudly escorting her. In the eyes of all present, family, friends, colleagues, there was admiration and respect. When she reached the altar where Michael awaited her with an emotional smile, Emily saw Martha and Charles in the front row. Both had tears in their eyes and genuine smiles on their faces. Next to them was Camille, now no longer a maid but a dear friend of the family. The officiant began the ceremony. "We are gathered here today to celebrate the union of Emily and Michael, a couple who have taught us much about love, compassion, and capacity for transformation. They have shown us that true love knows no barriers of social class or prejudice, and that with courage and honesty, we can build bridges where there were once walls." Emily and Michael exchanged heartfelt vows, promising love, respect, and partnership for life. When they were finally declared husband and wife, the explosion of joy and applause echoed through the garden. During the reception, Martha made an emotional toast. "Emily, when you first arrived at our home, I made the mistake of judging you by your appearance. But you taught us a valuable lesson about character, integrity, and the importance of seeing beyond appearances. You not only won my son's heart, but also transformed our family for the better. Welcome to the family, my dear." Charles also gave a speech. "Michael's son, you chose an extraordinary partner. Emily, your courage and compassion are an inspiration to us all. You both reminded us of what truly matters in life: love, respect, and the ability to grow and change. May your marriage be as transformative and beautiful as the journey that brought us here." Camille, now a confident and successful young woman, embraced Emily with tears in her eyes. "You changed my life, Emily. You not only gave me an opportunity, but showed me that dreams can become reality when we believe in ourselves and have people who believe in us. Thank you for everything." Emily smiled, moved. "Camille, you always had that potential within you. I just helped open the door. You did all the hard work." The wedding celebration extended into the night with laughter, dancing, and lively conversations. It was evident to all present that they were not just celebrating the union of two people, but also the birth of a new family, united by bonds of love, respect, and mutual understanding. As the night wore on, Emily and Michael found a moment of tranquility together, watching their guests enjoy themselves. "Look at them," Michael said softly, indicating his parents dancing happily with some of the mansion's staff. "Who would have thought we'd come to this point?" Emily smiled, leaning on her now husband's shoulder. "People have an incredible capacity to change and grow when given the opportunity. Sometimes all we need is a little push in the right direction." Michael kissed the top of her head. "You gave much more than a little push, my love. You transformed our lives." "We transformed our lives," Emily gently corrected, "together. And that's how we'll continue to face any challenge life throws at us." In the years that followed, Emily and Michael built a life filled with love and purpose. Under Emily's leadership, Tech Innovations became known not only for its technological innovations, but also for its ethical business practices and commitment to social responsibility. Michael, inspired by Emily's experience, decided to focus his legal career on cases of discrimination and workers' rights. Together, they became a powerful force in the fight for equality and social justice. Martha, transformed by the experience, dedicated herself fully to volunteer work. She founded a nonprofit organization focused on providing educational opportunities to low-income youth. Her work touched countless lives, and she finally found a true sense of fulfillment. Charles revolutionized his company, implementing progressive human resources policies and corporate social responsibility programs. He became a sought-after speaker, sharing his journey of personal and business transformation. Camille, with the continued support of Emily and the Thompson family, advanced rapidly in her career. She eventually became COO of Tech Innovations, working alongside Emily to lead the company to new heights of success and social impact. One day, about 5 years after the wedding, Emily and Michael sat in the Thompson mansion's garden, watching their 3-year-old twins play with their grandparents. "Who would have thought," Emily murmured, holding Michael's hand, that impulsive decision to pose as a maid would bring us here?" Michael smiled, squeezing her hand. "You've always had a gift for seeing the best in people, for seeing potential where others see only limitations. It's one of the many reasons I love you so much." Emily looked at her gathered family, her children, her in-laws now so changed, Camille, who had become like a sister to her, and felt a wave of gratitude and love so intense it almost took her breath away. "You know," she said softly, "I think we all have that potential within us to change, to become better versions of ourselves. Sometimes all we need is someone who believes in us and gives us a chance." Michael nodded, pulling her closer. "And sometimes we need someone brave enough to show us our own blindness and challenge us to be better." They sat in silence for a moment, absorbing the scene before them, the sound of their children's laughter, the sight of Martha and Charles playing happily with the kids, so different from the cold, distant people they once were. "I think the lesson we've learned," Emily reflected, "is that true love, whether between a couple, a family, or even in a company, is about seeing beyond appearances, about giving people the chance to be their best selves." Subscribe to the channel and click on the notification. Help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers. This way YouTube will deliver this content to more people who will benefit. "I count on your help," Michael agreed, and about having the courage to face our own prejudices and limitations. At that moment, as the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, Emily felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. She knew that her journey, Michael's, and that of the entire family was far from over. There would be more challenges ahead, more opportunities for growth and learning, but she also knew that together, they could face anything because they had learned the most important lesson of all, that love, compassion, and the courage to see beyond appearances have the power to transform not just individuals but entire families, companies, and perhaps even the world. And so, dear readers, we reach the end of this moving story, a story that reminds us that each of us has the power to make a difference, to challenge prejudices, and to build bridges where there were once walls. May the adventures of Emily, Michael, and their family inspire us to look beyond appearances, to treat everyone with respect and dignity, and to believe in the transformative potential that exists in each of us. Because in the end, true wealth is not in material possessions or social status, but in the ability to love, to grow, and to make a difference in the lives of others. And this is a lesson that Emily and Michael will carry with them forever, passing it on to their children and to all those whose lives they touch. And so, with hearts full of hope and eyes set on a bright future, Emily and Michael continue their journey together, knowing that the best was yet to come.